Good evening, everyone. I'm Riley King, and welcome to the Riley King Newscast right here on the Riley King Network. Let's begin. Former President George H.W. Bush dies at 94, leaves behind legacy of service. Let's take a listen to the video from WMTW. Okay, and there was, you have it on the look of the slideshow of President George H.W. Bush's lifetime. 88 New Hampshire win helped George H.W. Bush to White House. Let's take a listen to the video from WMUR News 9, Tom Griffith.
While the rest and relaxation of Kennebunkport were never far away, when George H.W. Bush was in New Hampshire, he was in the arena, famously upstaged here by Ronald Reagan in the 1980 primary. As Vice President, Bush made the most of his visits to the Granite State, showing the fire needed to lead the free world.
It is the sacred duty of the United States of America to defend freedom, to protect the lives of Americans around the world, to protect the innocent.
Bush filed for the 1988 primary with a ceremony in the Hall of Flags, getting the endorsement of Red Sox great Ted Williams.
I'm very happy to be on this team.
After losing Iowa, Bush needed a win here and turned to Governor John Sununu for help as the polls tightened.
Just a few weeks ago, you were really way ahead, and now it seems that the gap has narrowed. Things are tighter.
Very tight.
What happened?
1980 revisited. Remember when I came blowing into here and the polls shot down for Ronald Reagan? Turned it right around here and beat me. That's what's going to happen tomorrow. I'm going to win New Hampshire when I lost Iowa.
I want to thank the wonderful people of New Hampshire.
And when he did, New Hampshire setting Bush on the path to the White House.
I think you just don't like being told what to do. And I think you listen.
We had a great candidate, a candidate who got his message out, a candidate who engaged certainly with his nearest rival, made it very clear what the difference was, and what I think are the most discriminating voters in the country did a little comparison shopping between the two of them and decided George Bush was head and shoulders above him.
As president, Bush would name Sununu his chief of staff and turn to the Granite State for a Supreme Court justice. But the White House was to be his for only one term, as recession-ravaged New Hampshire gave rise to challenges from both the right and left. Bush would return to New Hampshire late in the 2000 primary campaign to give a boost to his son.
Thank you very, very much. Thanks. Thank you, guys. What a great New Hampshire welcome for our boy. Hey. To say that Barbara and I are thrilled to be here is the understatement of the year.
Mr. President, what does it mean to sort of be here in New Hampshire, your old stomping grounds here, doing it for your son?
Well, it means that it's very emotional for a father and a mother to see this boy out there doing well.
A proud dad, a World War II veteran who dedicated his life to serving his country, a winner of the New Hampshire primary.
I think you listen and you judge and you decide, and then you do what's right, and I'll never forget it.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Granite State Republican officials, activists praise former President George H.W. Bush. Let's take a listen to the video from WMUR News 9.
Adam, we've been talking all morning about the legacy of President George H.W. Bush across the country and right here in the Granite State.
Joining us on the phone right now is New Hampshire Governor Chris Sununu. Governor Sununu, thanks for joining us. First of all, first, just your reaction to the passing of President Bush.
Well, I think we're all incredibly saddened. It was, he was just an incredible guy. He was someone that I think for many decades folks looked up to, saw him as a true statesman, what he did for this country in some very tough times. And so anytime you have a loss like that, it's a shock. It really is, even though he's 94 and with the passing of Barbara, I think a lot of folks knew that he was definitely in some of his final years. But on a day like this, it still comes as a surprise, and it's really a day of reflection for someone who was a true American hero for this country.
Governor, you were fairly young when H.W. was in the White House. Do you have any memories of that time?
Of course. I mean, it's one of the most impressionable times of my life personally. Obviously, our families were very close. My father spent, virtually every day with him in the White House for many, many years. It was during my high school years. And, one of the things about the president that was so amazing was even as a president, he connected with folks at a very individual level. That's, I think, why he was so successful here in New Hampshire, in the great 1988 turnaround in the primary, because he understood that, by connecting with folks, it really had an impact in terms of where you take policy as a president or as a public official. And through that and through the kind of the connection of our families, he was just really amazing at, you know, we were a bit uprooted, right? We had moved down to Washington, my younger brother and myself and my parents, and I think he, whenever we saw him, he was always very good about taking a moment and coming aside and saying, "Hey, how's it going?" You know, it's Washington and the atmosphere down there that I think he appreciated was very different than New Hampshire, and I think he knew it was a sacrifice for the family, but he was always quick to come over and ask. And you know, in high school I played baseball, and he was a great baseball player himself, and so I think he always appreciated the connection about asking someone how the team was doing or how the season was going, and I was always shocked. As many times as he would do it, you're always shocked that the President of the United States would take time like that. So he really he had a real knack for connecting with people at an individual level, and it's not an easy skill at that level. It's really not, and something I think everyone appreciated, and which is why he was so successful in a lot of what he did, both nationally and across the world.
Governor, what do you see as the legacy of President Bush?
You know, he was a character. I mean, it's really about character and integrity. I mean, I don't think even his most ardent political opponents could say that he wasn't a man of character and integrity. He knew that not just the office of the president, but as vice president, as head of the CIA, going all the way back in his time of becoming a naval aviator, you know, back in World War II. He was somebody that had the experience, that carried those experiences with him, that built on them, treated people with respect. And I think that's something that everybody, no matter how much you might have disagreed with him politically, everyone hold him in great esteem for, both during his political and public career and after. I mean, let's not forget all the amazing things he did after being president, all the charitable organizations he was involved in, the time he spent. I mean, he really focused on kids a lot, really focused on kids and the health and well-being of children across his country. He and Barbara as well, they were just quite an incredible team. And so at the end of the day, it's really about integrity and character, and again, giving a little more of yourself just for the greater good. It's very, very impressive.
A great president and an even more amazing public servant. Governor Chris Sununu, thank you for calling in today to share some of your recollections of President Bush.
Thank you.
Okay, and there you go on that video of WMUR talking with Governor Chris Sununu. After presidency, George H.W. Bush left his mark on Maine. Let's take a listen to the video from WMUR News 9, Siobhan Lopez.
This is truly a loss for this town, the state of Maine, and all of New England. This has been such a special place for such a long time for anyone who wanted to come just for the chance to catch a glimpse of the Bush family, for those who were able to interact with them down in town, and especially those who benefited from the family's generosity. Here at Walker's Point, it had been the summer home of the Bush family for years. George H.W. Bush could be seen around town eating in local restaurants, playing golf, and fishing from his boat. But he was not just a former president. He was a friend and neighbor to a lot of people here. Many recall how important it was for him to come here and be on the ocean, but also how he made it a priority to give back to the community with his wife, Barbara. The couple spearheaded numerous fundraising projects for a variety of organizations. Their projects include hospitals, a college library, even a golf tournament which bears the Bush name.
And when you've got somebody of the stature of President and Mrs. Bush recognizing the importance of the project, being willing to go out there and participate in these fundraising, and the benefit of that is extraordinary.
I have a lot of admiration for the Bush family because they have exemplified the importance of giving, the effect that it can have on other people, how it can help other people, probably in ways and at times that they have no idea.
The nation, and specifically this community here in Maine, was just getting over mourning the loss of George H.W. Bush's wife, Barbara, and now the former president. Truly the end of an era here in Kennebunkport, and something that they will never forget. We're live in Kennebunkport, Maine this morning. Siobhan Lopez, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. And all of us here at the Riley King Network send our thoughts and prayers to the Bush family and his friends. Today was day 2 of the New Hampshire Spirit of Giving toy drive. And last night, the toy drive, we know around 5 p.m. last night, they collected around 3,000 at the Manchester location. And WMUR News 9, Charisse LeClaire was there for day 2 of the toy drive. And let's take a look at that video. Give me 1 minute, everyone. Okay, let's listen to the video.
Everyone, welcome to day 2 of our Spirit of Giving toy drive. We are benefiting Toys for Tots, and so far just this morning here at the Walmart in Manchester, we've received more than 1,000 toys. We just got a few more that were delivered by a nice family who are donating them, so we're having a great time here, and we couldn't do this without all the partners and volunteers. One of the volunteer groups is the Bearded Sinners. Thank you, gentlemen, for being here, for all you do. And this is Beefcake, not his legal name, but we'll call him Beefcake right now. So tell us about your involvement, the group's involvement with Toys for Tots and the toy drive.
We started last year.
And if you look up in here, you can see a lot of the donations and some of the Bearded Sinners on some bicycles in here. But, that's right there. It's like a call right here. Is this everything?
This is just from this morning.
This is just from this morning. Okay, so they say that. I mean, you don't have to get a bike. You don't have to. Well, thanks, guys. Yeah. We'll go over and we'll look at some of the toys. Thank you, Bearded Sinners. Hopefully I don't go flying down this right now. Thank you. Everybody, Facebook Live. Hello, hello. Ooh, look at all the good stuff. So we'll try to fill these boxes up and use the Marine Corps train. Come and donate cash if you'd like, and everyone's having a great time, so come out here, donate. We'd love to see you, and thanks so much for watching, but there's still plenty of time to donate. You can head down here until this evening. We have lists here. We can suggest toys for you, suggest age groups for you. Everyone's just having a great time, so head on down here to the Manchester Walmart and donate. We'd love to see you. Here's a donation that's happening here right now. Thank you to her. And come say hi to everybody, and we're just having a great day. Thanks, everybody.
Okay, and there you go. And here is photos from today's toy drive. Very cool indeed. So, please help out, and if you can, donate a toy to the toy drive. And you can also help the Stuffer Cruiser New Hampshire State Police. Just go to New Hampshire State Police Facebook page and you can learn about the Stuffer Cruiser drive as well. Dear Bill Clinton, reads heartfelt letter from President George H.W. Bush. Let's take a look at the video from ABC News.
Ronald Reagan established a tradition among outgoing presidents to leave a handwritten note for their successors. When you arrived back to the White House, in the Oval Office, after becoming president, you found in the iconic Resolute desk in the Oval Office a handwritten note from George Bush. Mr. President, I wonder, would you mind reading a part of that note?
Yeah, I
have
love
that
that
in
letter.
bold here.
It said, I wish you great happiness here. There will be tough times made even more difficult by criticism you may not think is fair. I'm not a very good one to give advice, but just don't let the critics discourage you or push you off course. You will be our president when you read this note. I wish you well. I wish your family well. Your success is our country's success. I'm rooting hard for you.
How did you feel when you received that letter?
I thought it was vintage George Bush. I thought he meant it, but I also thought he was trying to be a citizen in the highest sense of the word. It was profoundly moving to me personally.
Okay, and there you go on that video. And that does it for your evening edition of the Riley King Newscast. I hope you all enjoyed this edition of the Riley King Newscast. Have a great evening, everyone. I'll see you back here tomorrow for another edition of the Riley King Newscast. And I'll have a news report coming up in a little bit. Good night, everyone. Bye.